Hello and welcome to my Syncplicity Panorama on Labbuildr quick how-to guide. With the new version of Labbuildr, we are able to deploy Syncplicity Panorama environments with a simple command line. To do so, we just launch the Labbuildr PowerShell and issue the command labbuildr.ps1-panorama-defaults. This will go out and install a Panorama Connector server in the default domain that it gets from the defaults file or that it reads from the actual running configuration. So in my environment, there's currently a domain controller running, and we will compare the running environment with that we have in our defaults file to verify domain and IP addresses are the same. So this is my domain controller that's already existent, and Labbuildr will verify the parameters of that domain controller. You see here subnet, gateway addresses, and so forth are verified. Once this is done, the process immediately clones a linked clone of our master and creates a new virtual machine. This virtual machine for Panorama features two network adapters. One is connected to our custom network, which is for domain use, and the other is an automated bridge network, which you can connect to your internet router, internet gateway, whatever, to connect Syncplicity Panorama from even the internet. The configuration process takes a while, so we're running through the first sysprep. After this is done, we are adjusting the network configurations by specifying IP addresses on the local NICs, and we're installing some software packages that are required for the run of Syncplicity Panorama. So we need Internet Information Servers, some ASP.NET framework stuff, and those get installed automatically. So in order to have Labbuildr installing Panorama, the only thing that we need is Panorama in the sources directory. What we also could do, if we look here, this is the domain controller. There's currently no Panorama share. We will take a share from our sources or a directory from our sources and copy the data over to the domain controller and create a share that's called Panorama. So the only thing that you can prepare is build an attachments directory in your sources directory, and from there I will copy the directory structure during the setup script for Syncplicity Panorama. You also could connect some virtual Isilon machines and expose those Isilon shares over to with Panorama, so mileage may vary. I just do a basic setup and you can configure it for everything you want. I also provisioned a Panorama user in my Active Directory. This one gets deployed automatically. It's a normal user for reading the Active Directory users. Right now the Panorama setup is configuring the IP addresses and installing the additional roles and features. The overall setup of this virtual machine, from cloning process to customizing sysprepping and installing Panorama, takes no longer than 5 minutes. The other 5 minutes are literally to configure the web interface of Panorama and connect my iPad to the Panorama environment. You will see this in the live demo, so at the end I will try to connect my iPad to the Panorama exposed share. Sorry for that. That's more cold. So now my system is rebooting. After this reboot is finished, the computer will join to the domain. After the domain join has been done, a next reboot is done, and then we install the Panorama software. So it takes a few seconds. I always check for some tools to be up and running. As you can see here, my networks that I have configured, I have the local connection to my so-called Labbuildr network and my external DHCP network that's connected to the internet. Sorry, that just gets the IP address from my router. So right now the add to domain takes part. The computer is joined to the domain, needs a small reboot, and then the installation of the Syncplicity Panorama software will start. Upon start, we will check if the Panorama directory and the Panorama share on the domain controller already exists, because this is the data we want to expose through the Panorama Connector. For ease of use, I just install that share for you and copy the data over. So just make sure that you have this attachments directory in your sources and copy some valid data to it. So now the Panorama script kicks in, and the Panorama script starts with creating the share, copy the data over, and starting the installer for Panorama. And the installer for Panorama is not the biggest software, so it's done in a few seconds. I guess preparing and displaying takes longer than actually installing it. We can have a look at the domain controller and see here the share is propagated with documents and pictures folder structure and all the networker documents I had in my attachments. So just bear a few seconds. So the policies, the Windows configure Syncplicity Panorama. This will be done shortly. And now we are set and done, and Internet Explorer should launch the configuration page. What I've also done for the public network interface, I disabled the firewall. That's pretty more easy for me. I also could just open the port 9000, 9001. You can do it on your however you want to have it. So the next thing is we set up the service account. That is the pre-built domain user Panorama I built into the domain. So we put in Labbuildr for the domain and Panorama for the user, and the password for all pre-configured admin and service users is always password with a capital P 123 exclamation mark. So we click on save, and we are connected, we get redirected. So now we can add a repository. So we have multiple options to add the repository. We can configure to have access to all network shares, or we can limit access to specific network shares. We take allow access to all network shares. We skip enable home directories because we don't have home directories currently installed on that machine. We give a display name, and we give a UNC pass. The UNC pass is the pass to the server itself. The user has to put in or to find his share in the iPad app. So a short check, and the access works. We can set special deny policies, what we currently don't do. After this is done, we just do a small diagnostics. The diagnostics just complains that SSL is not installed because I don't configure secure sockets for the test environment. And once this is done, we can open up the iPad app. So this is the screen record of my iPad. I just opened Syncplicity, and in the new version, you have a second login tab. So if you scroll to the right on the Syncplicity app, on page 1, you will see the credentials for the network share. The only thing that you need to do here is put in the connector URL. This could be the external address of your router. This could be an exposed network address to the internet on port 9001. You have to put in your domain credentials. For this use, I use Panorama, but you could also use your normal Labbuildr users. And you click on connect. Sorry for this being German, but I didn't want to record it twice. The accounts opens, and you add the plus sign and just add the connector, the UNC pass to your share for the connector URL. Could be multiple because we said we allow access to every network share. Otherwise, we would have been presented some bookmarks, predefined bookmarks. So once this is done, we can open the Panorama folder, and we see the documents and picture structure, and we see the networker modules, and we can go into the documents, open a document, and this is pretty much the integrated viewer. That's all for Syncplicity Panorama on Labbuildr. I hope you enjoyed it, and take your 10 minutes and install it in your demo environments. Thank you, and bye-bye.